You making dates?
Ready? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting of August 12th, 2014. Roll call, please.
4 selectmen present this evening. Mr. Holmes is on vacation, and town administrator is also here.
Announcements. Mr. Titlebaum?
No, I don't think I have any.
Mrs. Whiteside?
I don't think I have any.
Mr. Tropiano?
I believe I have one here. Hold on a minute, I have to read. Hang on 1 second. I don't know what the heck I did with it. That's already done. There it is, right there. See that? Announcements.
Second
This
one in.
big one that says announcements.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Okay, town cemetery cleanup. Please be advised, the municipal maintenance department is making every effort of revitalizing and cleaning town-owned cemeteries, which consists of Long Neck, Agawam, and Center cemeteries. After reviewing the landscape of the cemeteries, it has been determined by the municipal maintenance department that there are shrubs and/or trees located on various lots that are either impeding onto other lots or pose a safety threat to visitors, outside contractors, and/or the municipal maintenance employees maintaining the cemeteries. This notice is to inform you that any shrub too large for the lot or poses a safety threat will be removed by the municipal maintenance department this fall, as stated in the Town of Wareham Cemetery Rules and Regulations. Anyone wishing to retrieve personal items placed on cemetery grave lots, such as statues, wind chimes, fences, breakable objects, and any other item, should do so prior to October 1, 2014. All items that are not removed by the owners will be disposed of during the town's fall landscaping operation. All right, let's see, I got one other thing here. Good morning, ladies. Can you please place the attached notice? Nope, it's the same one. Okay, I got it twice. That's it. You're up, Mr. Chair.
Okay now?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're on.
I'm on. On September 2nd, we will not be meeting. Make sure everybody puts that out there. That will be the day after Labor Day. For those who had any interest, the TDR, Transfer Development Rights article, that was passed at the town meeting did get approved by the Attorney General. I'm not sure why, but the information got delayed getting up to us, so that is in effect as well now. We have from the Wareham Historical Society an ice cream social, August 17th, Sunday, 4 p.m., Methodist Meeting Hall, 495 Main Street. Basically, it invites you to join us for our annual ice cream social. Bring your friends and family for this traditional summer celebration to hear about our upcoming programs. They will have historic displays that were at Town Hall, will be presented during the upcoming months. This month will be the display done by the Historical Society itself. It's free to members. Cost is $5 for an adult, $2 for children for non-members. And it's a good organization. People should consider joining as well. And that's all I have for now.
All right, next up, citizens' participation. Anybody here to speak to us this evening?
Before we do that, Selectman
I don't see anybody
Titlebaum,
anyway.
Selectman Titlebaum is going to read a letter, since he thinks I read too slowly, from a citizen that sent us a concern they had. They said they couldn't make it, but they did put their name and address down. So therefore, I think it's out of courtesy, we should read that into the record. Mr. Titlebaum?
Speed reader. Go, Speedy.
Didn't bring it with you, huh? Can't speed read that way.
Town could print it. This is from Bob and Mary Anderson of 122 Puritan Avenue, East Wareham. It's dated August 11th, 2014. 2, Wareham Board of Selectmen. Before we moved to our home in East Wareham more than 40 years ago, we checked with the town offices at the town hall regarding the roads. At that time, we were told clearly that the roads in this area were not town-accepted roads, quote-unquote, but that they were graded by the town twice a year, and after bad storms, that the roads were plowed so that emergency vehicles could get through. Over the years, people have understood that this level of service could be depended upon as part of the daily living in this area. During the years that we have lived in Wareham, some new schools have been built, a new library, new elderly housing, new road maintenance facility, and many roads have been improved, widened, paved, and repaved. All of these improvements cost money, and all the taxpayers throughout the town help pay for this, including the folks on some of the dirt roads in East Wareham. In 40 years plus, we have had many selectmen and selectwomen, town administrators, municipal maintenance directors. During all these years, and who knows how many years before that, these roads have been graded and plowed. Then last summer, a, quote, discovery, unquote, was made by a town official that possibly the town should not have been grading and plowing these roads. Based on this discovery, in the summer of 2013, the grading was stopped to our area. Because the roads have not been graded and storms have not ceased, our roads are in deplorable condition. The roads have never been this bad, and now some of the selectmen want to, quote, inspect, unquote, these roads to make sure that they are in great condition so that the plows won't be damaged, and then 4 question marks. The taxpayers who are living in this East Wareham area are entitled to feel a level of security that has always been afforded to them, and that the basic needs of road grading and snow removal will remain intact so that emergency services are able to get to their homes if needed. This is not a fluff item. This is basic. Now is the time when the, quote, discoveries, unquote, of how to beat a dime to death needs to be matched up against when an ambulance can't reach a person in need or a fire truck is needed for a house fire or police are needed for an emergency. We are just asking for the services that we have always depended upon and we have paid through our taxes to be there for us. Thank you, Bob and Mary Anderson, 122 Puritan Ave, East Wareham, Mass, August 11th, 2014. And I'll pass this on to the clerk so it becomes part of the record.
Okay, anybody else for citizens' participation? Seeing none, we'll move on to appointments. I have one. James Mendez, are you here today? Come on down, you're the next contestant. How you doing? Sorry this took so long. Okay, Mr. Mendez is here for an appointment to the Board of Library Trustees.
Yes.
Okay, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born in Bourne, and after I graduated from high school, I moved to California, joined the Navy. I was in the Navy for 7 years. Came back, went to UMass Amherst, a degree in accounting. I was employed in the insurance industry in Connecticut for 38 years. I'm a financial analyst. I have an MBA from the University of Hartford. I've been volunteering for about 30 years, some in sports and some in the financial end. I've been the treasurer of the Catholic school PTO and currently the chairman of the finance committee of Parkwood Beach Association, and I'm a member of the board there.
Awesome.
For the past 4 years. I've done a lot of auditing for the Hartford Insurance Company, and I've also done a lot of financial analysis. Now,
Okay.
I've currently lived in this town permanently for 2 years. I've owned a home here for 4 years.
Okay. All right, any questions from the board?
Mrs.
Mr.
Whiteside?
How much more spare time do you have?
Well, since I'm retired, I do have a lot of spare time. I've been spending my time foolishly fishing and digging quahogs and gardening.
The fun is over.
Yeah, we got your name and your address and your phone number. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for stepping up. And
Mr.
requesting a
Tropiano, any
volunteer.
questions?
Okay. I
I just want to say hello.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Mendez is my neighbor at the Makepeace Gardens, so we see each other off and on.
Okay, I move we appoint James Mendez of 36 Parkwood Drive, Wareham, Massachusetts, Library Board of Trustees to return to expire no later than June 30th, 2017.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 400. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Sorry
I'm
for the
gonna,
delay. You'll pick up your paperwork probably tomorrow at the clerk's office, but you have to go up to the selectman's office first, get the paperwork, go down there, get sworn in, and you will have to take the ethics exam within a few weeks or so. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna jump down to line F under town business and take the boarding of the Wareham dogs up next, please. Okay.
So do I just speak on
Yep.
the topic? Okay. So as of presently, in the town of Wareham, if we pick up any stray dogs We generally bring them to the Dartmouth Humane Society. That's pretty much what we've been doing. We don't have a contract with them. Their prices have gone up without warning, and that's what we've been doing in the past. I did some research, and Lakeville Animal Shelter, it actually would save the town some money. Dartmouth Humane Society charges $20 a day, and under the state law, we have to hold any dog we pick up for 7 days, so that would be a cost of $140. And then at the end of the 7 days, the dog is either adopted, and we pay an adoption fee of $25, or if the dog is euthanized at $32. Lakeville Animal Shelter is charging $15 a day. For that 7-day hold, it's a cost of $105. And if the dog's adopted, it's only a $20 adoption fee. So that would be a total savings, at the very least, of $35 a dog for any dogs that go unclaimed. So with Lakeville, we don't have to bring every single dog. The contract is not that we have to bring every dog that we pick up. It is just if we bring a dog there, this is what their procedure is. At the present time with Dartmouth, again, we don't have a contract with them, but they are pressuring us to bring all animals there. And if we do not, then they are talking about just cutting us off. So I would like the flexibility to work with more than one shelter depending on the animal that I pick up.
Okay.
Mr. Titlebaum, any questions?
No, so I was aware of this. We discussed this earlier. It all makes sense to me.
Mrs. Whiteside?
It makes a lot of sense to me. The only question I have is, they hold the dog for 7 days, and then they charge the town, and they charge the town if the dog is adopted by Joan Smith from Essex?
It's a adoption fee, so at the end of the 7 days, at Dartmouth, there's one of two options, and there's a fee for that. And with Lakeville, these are dogs that are not claimed. If a dog
Right.
is claimed, then there's no cost to the town
Right.
at all. So both of them do charge an adoption fee, and it's basically more of a drop-off fee, I guess you could
Okay.
say.
All right.
And
Thank you.
Lakeville's 20.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Tropiano?
I'm all set.
No, just have one. So the cost itself is going to be lower. Now, this particular contract we have is a draft, which the Lakeville Board of Selectmen have to approve first. So do we, basically, you're asking us for the okay to go ahead and submit to them, and then they'll have to come back to us with an actual contract, I believe.
Yes, that's correct, sir.
So I am not sure whether we need an actual, just a consensus vote, because we don't have a contract to actually accept.
Why don't we vote to enter into negotiations?
I'll
When
second
it's on the
that.
record, that board can see it and say.
Okay.
there's
I'll seek
actual
a
vote.
motion for that, please, then.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to authorize the chairman to send correspondence to the Lakeville Board of Selectmen to enter into negotiations regarding the storage of dogs.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Titlebaum, second by Mrs. Whiteside. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Just one more question, I'm sorry. Does it apply to animals other than dogs?
Predominantly, the only other animal that we deal with on a general basis would be cats, and I have several cat shelters available to me that actually charge the town no fee.
Thank you.
Vote is 4-0-0.
Okay. All right.
Meow.
All right, so thank you.
You're all set, thank you.
All right, so
Thank
now
you.
we're going to do a bunch of appointments here. These are the poll workers. I'm just going to go down and do these one at a time as quick as I can, and just bear with me, okay? I move we appoint Jack M. Silver, 8 Diners Way, Wareham, to election poll officer, precinct 1, to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. Questions? None heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 4-0-0.
I move we approve Dorothy A. Taylor as Wareham to this day appointed you as a registrar to the term to expire no later than June 31st, 2017.
Question?
Yep.
Yeah, but this is what you said.
Better yet, you've been replaced by Mr. Cruz as chairman on this one.
Well,
I'm
can we...
channeling Walter.
Was it Mark? You read it in there.
Oh, did I read it as June?
I don't have any ideas.
Thought I said
Second.
March.
I'll second
March
it.
31st, 2017, just to clarify.
Second.
Okay.
For the record, Mr. Tropiano will be reading the motions, Mrs. Whiteside will be seconding. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Okay, the next is Joyce Viega, and she is a poll worker, Precinct 5, to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
1 Heath Road, West Wareham, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Hazel Tabor, 136 Marion Road, appointed as a clerk, Precinct 1, to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Sharon A. Frazier, 9 Bayview Street, as a deputy warden, Precinct 1, to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Shelley R. Andrews, 27 Old Onset Road, as an elected poll worker, Precinct 1, for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Elizabeth S. Averill, to a election poll worker, Precinct 1, to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2015.
From 7 D'Angelo Road, second.
7 D'Angelo Road.
Point of order. The last time we did this, we just read all the names and appointed them all at once.
Well, each one of them has different things, though.
Right, but you can read all those into the record, and then we can just appoint them all at the end.
Okay.
You want me to do the speed read thing?
You
and
want to
just
do
blow
one
through
vote
this?
at the end?
It's
Okay,
going
we
to
can
take
do
20 minutes at this rate.
Well, we're doing them all at once. All right, I'll do it.
Just go on the line, Patrick.
All right. You know what? There's a sheet, actually. You got the sheet?
Right here.
We'll just read it off the sheet.
Yeah, if you want, I can blow through it.
If you're going to do them all at once, I'm going to have to abstain.
Which one?
Because I have a
Yeah,
family
There's
member.
one in there that we have to take out separately, and that's for Sandy Slaver.
Okay,
Okay.
I can remember.
All right?
It's pretty
Okay.
memorable.
And we're at Clemens.
We've gotten through what, Elizabeth Averill?
Yes.
Catherine Clemens is the next one.
Okay, Kathleen Clements, 80 Marion Road, Wareham. Maureen S. Cooney, 434 Main Street. Brenda Sylvia, 2 Pine Street. Charlotte Short, 2 Foundry Circle.
Poll workers.
These are all poll workers for Precinct 1. Precinct 2, Amy
Second.
F. Tripp, Warden, 28 Highland Ave. Catherine C. Anderson, Clerks, 116 Onset Ave.
Second.
Poll workers. Rosemary Carter, 48 Highland Ave. Margaret M. Cook, 12 Cleveland Ave. Marlene DeCosta, P.O. Box 999. Marjorie P. Fitzgerald, 27 Maple. Nancy J. Miller, 6 Ripla Road. Mary Paulette, 39 East Central Avenue. Linda Prokowski, 41 Bay Street. Patricia Pratt McLeod, 28 Cahoon Road. And Tanya Ravel, 4 Eddy Street. Precinct 3.
Second.
These are the, says the officers, it doesn't list, I'm guessing these are wardens. Michelle Montrand, on 37 Tyler Ave, I am skipping Mrs. Slavin. Carol L. Mazzarelli, Clerk, 3 Valley Road.
Second.
Poll workers, Elsie Mae Ganetto, 44 Sandwich Road. Joy L. Gomes, 21 Camp Street. Barbara J. Gomes, 23 Claudia Street. Margaret Gomes, 229 Sandwich Road. Patricia J. Long, 10 Corey Drive. Laura Lopes, 6 Comeesa Road. Eva Sue Murphy Hall, 12 State Street. Joan Paulides, 14 Corey Drive. Stella L. Sylvester, 158 Sandwich Road.
Second.
Precinct 4, officers, Robert E. Short, Warden, 2 Foundry Circle. Deborah L. Finster, Clerk, 2 Thomas Ave.
Second.
Poll workers, Corinne Cazzaro, 166 Pineview. Margaret L. Cook, 190 Pineview. Alice Trombley Freights, 35 Great Hill Drive. Shirley Kucharski, 650 Kucharski. 650 Main Street. Beverly A. Lake Queenan, 149 Wincept Road. Diane Lazarus, 2 Myers Court.
Second.
Precinct 5, officers, Leonora Fernandez, Clerk, 67 Crest Drive.
Second.
Poll workers, Madeline E. Barron, John A. Cazzaro, George A. Choquette, William Engerman, I'll do the addresses too. John A. Cazzaro, 166 Pineview. George A. Choquette, 7 Garvin Street. William Engerman, 5 Winter Street. Lois M. Fountain, 153 Windswept. Barbara Hunter, 2 Galt Road. Martha T. Montron, 29 Coral Street. Norma White, 37 Winship Ave. And Margaret K. Wood, 41 Highland Shores
Second.
Drive. Precinct 6, officers. Ramona Barros, I'm guessing is the warden. 3327 Onset Ave. Deborah J. Rose, clerk, 10 Juniper Street. Nancy Schultz, deputy clerk, 5 Diane Drive.
Second.
Poll workers, Catherine A. Conroy, 34 Lakeview Drive. James A. Magnan, 54 Cassett Road. Francis Murphy, 257 High Street. Herbert S. Williams Jr., 19 Conehassett Road. Sandra R. Williams, 19 Conehassett Road. Priscilla Roderick, 191 Pine View Terrace. Shirley Smarowski, 48 Shore Ave. Ann P. Zardiakas, 225 Hathaway Street. And Elizabeth A. Foley, French Ave.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 400.
And now, I move that we appoint Sandra Slavin. They didn't list her title here. Do you happen to know what she is? Is she a warden or a clerk?
Doesn't say.
Warden? Okay. Warden, 36 Oak Street.
Second. Precinct 3.
Patrick, call for the vote.
What?
Call for the
Call for the vote, he can't.
Oh, sorry. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining?
300.
301,
01.
301. Oh, that's right.
please.
You're not a 0, you're a 1.
Number 1.
301.
All right.
All right,
We'll
so
put that back, I guess, for the record. Was that one?
we'll keep signing some of these as we go along later on. Okay, next up, vote in precinct 1. Discuss policy 8810.
Why don't
Let's
we
take
take
that
that up
out
after
of-
we
yeah,
get people out of here?
All right, who do we got here? We've got East River Advocates. We did the dogs. We don't have anybody else here.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do
the
Spinny.
Spinney.
Oh.
Library request D.
Hold on a minute. Spinney Memorial. Come on down, Spinney Memorial.
Patrick, finish this.
Gonna be out of here in 20 minutes.
Shut.
Don't say things like that.
This is that.
Exactly. Our buddy down the end there will have too much to say.
Hello, ladies.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
This particular item has to do with the Spinney Library, which is temporarily closed as of right now, and we're going to hear a proposal from a Spinney Library group about leasing the library back from the town. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm Priscilla Porter. I'm the president of the Friends of the Wareham Free Library. We did send a letter, which I assume everybody has a copy, outlining what we'd like to do at Spinney to get the building open. We would obviously have book sales from the Spinney. It would be a continued meeting place for the Girl Scouts. There were 2 or 3 troops that were meeting there. We'd like to be able to give them space again. There is a story time that has been done by 2 Friends members, Winna Dean and Sandra Wheeler. We'd like to continue that when the school starts. We will have a couple of computers, wireless, for public access. And I have been asked by some of the smaller community groups, would they be able to meet at Spinney? So it would be run by volunteers. We would have a committee that would oversee what goes on at Spinney, and they would be in charge of keys. We would try to accommodate people as best we could. I can't say how often we'd be open, but probably it'd be about at least 3 days. And we would have some time open for people to come in for computers besides being there for groups using it. Any questions?
Mr. Titlebaum?
None in particular. How long of a period are you looking for here?
Well, I've asked for a year, and then if, with an option, if a second year is needed,
Give him up to
we would
3.
like that. I'm not going beyond that because I certainly would rather it be a branch library than what we plan to do with it.
Okay. Just so people understand, 3 years or more, town meeting has to approve leases. 3 years or less, For buildings, actually, it's the town administrator's responsibility. It doesn't even really involve us per se.
Mrs. Whiteside?
Thank you. My sincere hope is that you are able to open some library someplace so that I can get my reading done. I'm now reduced to reading books that I've read before. I'm beating my way through Look Homeward, Angel, which is not good summer reading. Again, it's a administrative decision from Mr. Sullivan, and the terms of any negotiations would be up to him. I strongly advocate having a library in this town and fully believe that the people who are lined up at the door trying to get in and the people who are lined up at the desks trying to get out need to understand that this was a vote of the people, that our personal opinions don't really count. But I personally think that a town needs a library as a community center. So.
Mr. Tropiano?
You know, technically, we just approve a lease. You know, we don't really, not that we wouldn't, but this is really, Derek, what do you say, Derek?
Yeah, this has been brought before me, so I will speak to them.
You-
It's, I think the intention tonight was to bring it before the Board of Selectmen by the chair so that the selectmen could hear what had been proposed. But
Okay.
there's, in working with them, it wouldn't be something we would do tonight on the floor.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, technically, he's procurement as far as the buildings are concerned for that first 3-year period, and then it goes to town meeting. So, you know, if he puts the deal together, I have no problem with it, obviously. I would love to see it open. Everybody would, I think. I don't think anybody would say no, you know. So I would love to have you doing it.
Thank you. I did receive your letter, and I did call today and left a message asking for an appointment.
Okay.
So, you know, you can get back to me. I left my number.
And
I'll come visit.
Yeah, just so a few people understand as well, is that this building was put together through some effort. Was it tax title, or it was a property that defaulted into tax?
No, it was owned by a nonprofit organization, the Spinney Inc., and they wanted to dissolve their public charity because they didn't want to fundraise and raise the money that was needed to rehab the building, which was in desperate need of work. So they gave it to the Friends for the purpose of it being turned into a branch library.
Wonderful. And that's what, its background isn't that it's been some municipal building sitting there for years. A lot of hard work was put into it.
Originally it was purchased by the Harvest Moon Society in Onset and was run as a lending library.
It was a library originally.
Back at the turn of the century. And it had been a library up until the Second World War, and I was told at that time, instead of people bringing their books to the library, they sent them overseas to the troops.
Wow.
So they stopped getting books. And at some point around the beginning of the 50s, the Girl Scouts started utilizing the building.
Okay, excellent. And one of the other things the board should understand as well is vacant buildings under the town, our insurance skyrockets for those. It's, they actually will have a separate rider for each one of those buildings that's deemed vacant and can cost between $10,000 and $12,000 a year.
Mrs. Whiteside, you asked first.
I just had one other comment. I can read. I'd be happy to do reading hours for you, or
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm used to it.
Well, I mean, others...
You know my number.
Yeah, others have asked about having some story time. In fact, I was speaking to one of the people involved in the Buzzards Bay Playhouse, and she was asking, they have a woman there that reads to youngsters, and then they play act the book. So she thought maybe that would be a great place to run that program.
And sometimes the summer reading books are not easy for the kids to get through, and
No,
we can
well,
create lesson plans and, you know, get them to where they can take those things in and use them.
We have no firm plans. We kind of don't want to put the cart before the horse. We need to know that we have the building, and then we can plan out activities.
Is Mr. Paulson your designated landscaper?
No, and you know, I didn't know he did that. But I'd been there the next day, and I pulled out a lot of the bricks and cleaned out around them and put them back in. But I understand, I haven't seen it, but
I have.
others have been there, and they've done a wonderful job. The place looks really nice.
Mr. Tropiano?
You know, I don't know if this helps, and, you know, maybe it's silly to even say, but, you know, the original first library they ever opened was a fee-based library. You had to pay, and if I remember right, it was like 10 shillings or something like that, which, by the way, was a considerable amount of money at the time to belong to the library, and the library was like a club. And you paid money, and then you could go use the library and participate in the books and so on. And if you didn't pay, you didn't get to use it. So it was fee-based, just so you know. I mean, maybe that's, you know, I can tell you right now, the town has no money. There is going to be less money as the years go on. There's going to be less and less. There's going to be more and more problems. So there might be some alternative. That, you know, that there's a fee-based system that people get to come and use the library.
Okay, but the thing is that, I mean, we're the Friends. I mean, we're a public charity. We raise money to support the library. If the town decided that's how they were going to go, then that would be a decision for the town administrator, the library director. And I guess my only thing is, what do you do with people that really need library services but can't afford the fee?
Well,
And I would hate to say to someone, you know, or if somebody really wanted a book and it was from the Friends, I would say, take the book.
Well, see,
You
but
know?
that's where the groups would come in to raise money for the people who couldn't afford it, you know, and fill in those voids. That's where the
Yeah.
groups would come in.
Well-
But, I mean, I'm not going to pull any bones here. There will be no money. There is no money. The future years from here out get worse and more bleak. The town chose not to give us any more money, so we have to live with what we have, and I guarantee you there will be no money. It just isn't.
I want to say that the first year and a half, almost 2 years, when we first opened that was run all by volunteers.
Very nice.
And we did that for the 2 years until we turned it over to the town. We had a tutor there for the onset kids that came in their bicycles because they couldn't get to Wareham to the school in the summertime. And like she said, we had the children's reading. There was a lot of different meetings, and it was all volunteers that kept it open. Didn't cost the town a penny then. And we're hoping, we've had so much more interest
Yeah.
now that it's been closed, that I don't think we're going to have a problem with volunteers
Well, that's terrific.
whatsoever.
That's good to know.
In any proposition, the detail, the devil's in the details. We're going to have to also look, I think, Mr. Sullivan, we have money that was dedicated to the Spinney Library in one of our accounts, too. I believe there's some money that came in that way. And there's a few other things we have to figure out as well.
Yeah, there is
but Mr.
approximately $16,000 in the library gift account earmarked for spinning.
So we have
Earmarked for
we have to work
spending.
all that out as well. So there's a lot of details to work out. I think what Mr. Tropiano was referring to, which we kind of, I think even Mrs. Whiteside talked about it, was down the road, because looking financially long-term, because short-term's easy, long-term's the hard part, is that we don't think we're going to have money long-term for what we need to do, especially not to keep a library certified with the numbers the state's looking for, unless they completely revamp their system, which I don't see happening in my lifetime.
I think we understand that.
And so what we need to look at is start to get some community groups together. I think Falmouth has a library that does some of their stuff as an independent, not town operated. So this is something from the grassroots up, and something we're going to all have to work with. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be painful, but in the long run, maybe we can solve the issue.
Very sad.
It needs to be solved. We need a library at the end of the day, this town especially.
It's very sad.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys stepping up to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I won't lay in the street and cry.
I wasn't going to bring that one up.
I won't do it.
All right, next up is the East River Bridge Division of Marine Fisheries. Come on down.
Good evening, gentlemen,
Thank you for coming in.
and I'm sorry. I've started out on a great foot there.
Strangely, you're not the first one.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to, if I'm ready, are you guys all ready for me?
Yes?
Okay, great. I'd like to thank you all for having me here once again. I was here over the winter and proposed to do some rehab work at the Onset Avenue, which you guys call Dummy Bridge. I hope that's not offensive by me calling it that. And I'd like to more formally propose doing some work there. I have, at this point, moved away from the concept of putting a fish pier extended from the bridge, which I had informally discussed over the winter due to cost restrictions, mainly at this time. I've stopped down there a number of times since we met the last time, and I have found that it does get used for fishing. It gets used with some regularity. I think that really what I would like to propose there, and propose very solidly, would be to redo the parking of the area. I think that permeable parking with some sort of gravel with shell over it might be the best way to go. Some landscape, cutting the trees in a way that's responsible in a coastal area. And in addition, limiting the area where people can drive down to the water. I've got actual more up, I don't remember what I sent you guys. I think, yes, that does not have the pier on it. And then more informally, what I'd like to bring forward with this is the idea that there was a gentleman fishing on the bridge abutment while I was there, and he was physically worried about getting out there and back because it's not the easiest place to get out to. You need a little bit of you need good shoes and a little bit of athletics. So he was worried about getting over and back with regularity. It's not the worst place to get to you've ever been, but it's certainly not the easiest if you look directly at the footing on the bridge. So that in mind, I don't know what it would take to do that. And if we do, I almost wonder if you could make a path there without going to the level of having to go handicapped accessible. Though I would like the canoe ramp to be handicapped accessible. And I just don't know what the rules are surrounding that, just because of the added expense, the proper angles, the width, and if it would have to be paved or not. And then if it were in fact made that, the bridge abutment then would need to have railings and everything else, and that's really more than we're able to do at this point in time. That's sort of the pitch for what we'd like to provide. And then what goes along with that is we have partnered with the Office of Fishing and Boating Access, and you guys have worked closely with Jack Shepard's group through the years on your state boat ramp and on the fish pier down by the Narrows. It would be the same agreement. We share in their regulations, and that's under the Department of Fish and Game, which we are as well, Division of Marine Fisheries. And the rules that govern both the state boat ramp and the state fishing pier within, the things that are pertinent are the same rules that would govern this. So we pay for the installation. You guys essentially police it and pick up the garbage. If you charge a fee to use the facility, those fees must go towards the expense of whatever it takes to run it. I mean, you can pay the people who go down and write tickets or pick up garbage or whatever. I don't know that it's a facility like this you'd want to do a fee or not, because it is a car top. It's not like a boat launch. You don't charge a fee at the fish pier. So that's the 4-minute tour of what I'd like to propose to the town.
Mr. Sullivan, before we start, are we going to have an issue with that we're dealing with right now with the 1916 decree, use of land, et cetera?
Not in that area. That would be outside the scope of it.
Because it's across the dummy bridge.
Yeah, maybe it is. Beyond that, I don't think that access and fishing is inimical to the purposes of the decree.
I understand, but, this could get delayed if,
Well, we have no control over
no, we don't.
what citizens might do on their own.
Okay.
I do have one question.
Go ahead, Mr. Titlebaum.
Yeah, unlike the fish pier, the access at the Narrows, this is a little bit more in a neighborhood. Are we going to be able to restrict the times people can be there?
Typically, no.
I'm just
But
concerned.
you can control the activities that they're doing. I mean,
Right.
if you see
So if
beer
they-
cans, you can, that is specifically prohibited.
Okay, and if they're making too much noise under our noise ordinance, we can enforce that as well.
Absolutely.
No, that's the only concern I
don't-
have about this at all.
I don't think that anyone who's there doing the purposes that are intended for there are going to raise anybody's suspicion at all. They'll be fishing right there or launching a kayak or a canoe. It certainly is not large enough for a big boat. And anybody who is making noise, they probably do that now.
No, right now, they're probably down at Tempest Knob at 3 in the morning across from my house making the noise, but that's a different kettle of fish.
Okay.
I can't yell at you for that, that was 20 years
Right.
ago. No, I just wanted to see what, that's the one thing I am concerned about is
Yep.
nighttime noise, but
Yeah.
We still fall under the same rules. We accept state money. Program like this, it is open to anybody. There's no restriction. It can't be
That's
Wareham
correct.
residents. It's open to everybody. Just want everybody to understand that nothing comes free.
Some questions.
Go ahead, Mrs. Whiteside.
Do you know where the term dummy bridge comes from?
I really don't.
Okay, because you don't need to apologize for it.
Okay.
It has to do with the kind of engine that was used for the trolleys
Oh.
when the trolleys went through the
Mhm.
town.
Okay.
So it's not a derogatory term. I have a concern, sir,
Mm-hmm.
that, one, this is a beach and an area that is used by people today. It is certainly, I'm guessing, in a vector zone. I've certainly seen it underwater in my lifetime, my long lifetime.
Which part of it was underwater? Not where the parking is.
All of this.
Okay, so the up to about where the parking is, because that's quite a distance up.
Right, but in a storm surge tide coming up the bay, that's where it goes,
Mm-hmm.
okay? You have paved as a possibility. I certainly wouldn't go for anything except pervious.
Great, and that's what I'm leaning towards as
Right.
well.
The other thing is that I'm not convinced that it's right to have public access that is not public access. In other words, you said that it might not be wheelchair accessible or fully handicapped accessible. I don't think that that's,
That would only be if we did a pathway making it easier to get to the bridge abutment, and I don't know, that's just something I noticed the other day when I was there, and there was a gentleman who wouldn't say he didn't need a wheelchair to get there, but he certainly would have done a lot better to not have to jump over the large bluestone and everything. And I know that the rule, once you reach a certain point of construction, that would trip the need for that, and I just don't have the money to do that at this point. And I'm fully with you on that. I mean, that's something we're working on right now in Fairhaven, on the causeway to West Island, and that will be handicapped accessible. We've done handicapped accessible with the fishing pier that we just completed in Oak Bluffs. We did it on the Bass River. I'm working with DCR right now, and the Scussett Pier is being rehabbed, and that tripped a level, which required us to redo all the rails and make them handicapped accessible. So that's certainly within our radar, and it's certainly not something I want to withhold. I just can't, if I can't afford to do it without that right now, then I just can't afford to do this aspect of the project.
that's fine.
thank you.
And if we don't do it, then, we do it later or not at all.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Tropiano,
I'm all set.
any other questions?
Nope.
I think we're gonna need a motion to go ahead with this.
Looking
I-
for approval of this management agreement?
I have some concerns.
mhm.
Okay.
I have more than one concern, I guess. Wareham has a lot of public access from the state now.
Mhm.
We have Tempe's Knob, we have the Narrows, we have Agawam, whatever that pond is.
Mhm.
There's the one with all of the weed in it.
That's Agawam Union Pond.
Okay.
Also, the rest area off of 195.
The rest area off 195,
And the little kayak ramp off at the Tremont Nail facility.
kayak ramp off Tremont Nail Facility. So there's at least 5
Okay.
public access points that I can think of right off the top of my head, okay? It's really nice to take things, but everything has a price. And the price tag on this is going to be the people who use, I don't know what the name of the beach is, but it's, guys, help me out. It's down here, it's where people launch boats right now.
Mhm.
The neighborhood is being crowded by people who use that, what is the name of that little beachlet thing?
I think
Oh,
I
that's
know
the one on the
little
East
launch
River.
that you're
Yeah,
referring
the-
to. It's not a very well improved launch.
No, it's
Yeah.
not, but it is used
Sure. for people who know what they're
regularly,
doing.
frequently, and actually, we have have had some discussions with CETA and the harbor master
Mhm.
about how to improve access for the public and using that access point as
Uh-huh.
opposed to this. I am loath to grant permission to any body, government or otherwise, that doesn't provide access to everyone. So I would vote no on this, because
You
you don't
don't
have
wanna-
enough money to do the wheelchair, the
Well,
fully handicap
I
accessible.
wouldn't be doing any, the only wheelchair, the only thing that would be limited to non-wheelchair thing would be the path that's, it's not there at all now anyhow. The
Right,
ramp
but-
itself that would allow kayak and canoe access would be accessible. If you had a handicapped accessible vehicle and could launch and retrieve your own kayak, which would be required of any person or someone to help them, then it would be accessible under those circumstances.
And how many cars would that little lot hold?
I'm not certain of that, and I don't think it would hold more than it holds now. Maybe, depending on how we lay it out, it'll be about the same.
Which is
I don't
about 5 or 6.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen more than 2 or 3 there at any time.
I guess, and again, I think it's great that this is on the table. I am not going to vote for it, because I
Uh-huh.
don't think it meets the purpose, the best needs of the citizens of the town of Wareham.
Okay. So you don't want it improved. Okay.
Mr. Titlebaum?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll need a motion to, either way, to enter into a draft agreement.
Wow.
Okay. You ready?
Go ahead.
I move we do not enter the draft agreement with the state for this upgrade.
Second.
Any questions? Not heard? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? 3-1-0.
Wow.
Thank you, sorry.
No, thank you.
All right, next.
Thank you for your time working on this.
The next up is the applicant for a one-day wine and beer malt license.
Hi, how are you? I'm Nicole Phillips for William Fuller, the bartending service in New England.
Bartender services. All right, so tell us what this is about and where it is and whatever.
It's at Box Mill Hall on August 22nd from 3 to 7. It's a company party for approximately 200 people.
Tips are in the file. Insurance is here. Everything's here, guys.
Yep. Board of Health
Tips,
signature.
got it
too.
all. All right, I move we approve the one-day one-day wine and malt beverage license for New England LLC bartending services.
No, the bartending services.
The bartending services of New England LLC. Let's see, the location is Smithers,
No.
is it?
It's at
not
Box Mill
Box
Hall.
Mill Hall.
For the company is Smithers, Smith and,
Corporate outing.
Smithers and Vincent.
Oh, that's who the thing is, okay. It's writ, I can barely read this.
Box Mill Hall.
Box Mill Hall, Tyonet Road.
Second.
I can barely read this thing.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mr. Titlebaum. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 400. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll correct him on his penmanship.
Thank you.
All right, next up is advocates for,
Let's just go back. You got, next up is votes on primary warrant.
you want to go back there?
Well, it's town issue A.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Election warrants,
Oh,
votes
that's-
on primary warrant. All right, this is that thing that requires reading, right?
Give it to
Yep.
Peter.
Do you want the reader to do it?
You know what? Go ahead, Peter, have a ball.
Okay, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, William Francis Galvin, Secretary of the Commonwealth, Plymouth SS, to the constables of the town of Wareham, greetings in the name of the Commonwealth. You are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town who are qualified to vote in primaries to vote at Precinct 1, Memorial Town Hall, 54 Marion Road, Precinct 2, Hammond School, 13 Highland Ave, Precinct 3, Minot Forest School, 85 Minot Ave, Precinct 4, Deacon School, 760 Main, Precinct 5, Deacon School, 760 Main Street, Precinct 6, Minot Forest School, 85 Minot Ave. On Tuesday, the 9th day of September 2014, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the following offices. To cast their votes in the state primaries for the candidates of political parties for the following offices: Senator in Congress for the Commonwealth, Governor for this Commonwealth, Lieutenant Governor for this Commonwealth, Attorney General for this Commonwealth, Secretary of State for this Commonwealth, Treasurer and Receiver General for this Commonwealth, Auditor for this Commonwealth, Representative in Congress, 4th District, Counselor, 1st District, Senator in General Court, 1st Plymouth and Bristol District, Representative in General Court, 2nd Plymouth District, District Attorney, Plymouth County, Register of Probate, Plymouth County, County Commissioner, Plymouth County, County Treasurer, Plymouth County. Hereof fail not, make return of this warrant with your doings thereon at the time and place of said voting, given under our hands this 12th day of August 2014. Alan H. Slavin, Chairman, Patrick G. Tropiano, Clerk, Peter W. Titlebaum, Stephen M. Holmes, Judith Whiteside, Selectmen of Wareham. And that's it.
Need a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Titlebaum, second by Mrs. Whiteside. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 400.
Okay,
Next up is yours.
you want to do 8810?
Yeah.
Goals and objectives, fiscal year 89, I love it.
Oh, actually, that's supposed to be,
It says goals and objectives,
It is.
8810.
It is.
yeah, they switched them around. It should be the 8801. Should be the one on the personnel.
Yeah, I
It's
don't have it,
not.
don't have it though.
Let's pass it for now.
All right,
I'll
pass
correct it.
over. Good, next.
Which Steve gets back anyway.
It's a
All right.
Scrivener's error. It should be
Next
8801.
Next is advocates, no litter.
This is just a follow-up on the Keep America Beautiful that we had a presentation back a few weeks back. That particular presentation was based on having the town join in with that particular organization, setting up a program. What this here is today is a very quick, simple discussion, if even that we're looking for advocates that live in different areas of the town of Wareham to come and step up, get a hold of the Selectmen's office, give their name, if they would like to be responsible for a particular area that they live in or whatever, to keep that area clean and form their own group. We would try and work together to try and coordinate. If they pick up the litter and stuff, where we could have a place where they could bring the trash to, the bags, etc., or a place where we would pick up. And it's just the first step of trying to put this together for the town. So what I'm asking for now is for people who live in Onset, someone who lives West Wareham, someone who lives over Tyhonet, just every area we have in town, and try and get areas where there's a lot of trash. We have areas by Indian Mound. We have Minot Ave is always a horror show. Charge Pond Road, Charlotte Furnace Road, etc. It can be just simply a road area like Crooked River Road, but I'm looking for people that actually want to come and help. We've made this discussion before that we have limited funds and limited resources. So this is the first of many steps of trying to get the citizens to step up for the town and help us out. And we would basically probably assist by getting the trash barrel, the trash liners for them and picking up, but we need someone to actually do the work. So again, I'm asking people if they would like to get involved with this program. It'll be run by the town, and that's it. Any comments from the members?
Okay. Next, oh, go ahead.
Okay, that's it.
All right, discussion and vote of the BOS generated warrant articles for fall town meeting. Now, we did put some things together, but unfortunately, it's not in the packet.
What?
It's
Look
not
again.
in the packet.
Look in
It's
your
not in my
packet.
thing. I have to go to my, it's not in here. It was not in the deal, so we'll have to, deal with it accordingly. I know Richard put one together. There we go. I'm gonna just stick these from my thing
Here,
in there.
take mine and put them in there.
You can use mine.
Okay.
All right, so, go ahead. Warrant articles, example.
Like, I think some of this is me and some of this is you.
Yeah, the Swiss Beach Sewer is me. It's a placeholder. Next week, we'll hear all about this. So, there's really nothing to vote on yet, but we'll hear about it next week at the meeting.
I just want to, the reason for this right now is just to bring out that the Board of Selectmen will actually be generating some of their own articles rather than coming from a particular committee, board, or commission, and not the Board of Selectmen. So these articles will be coming from us and inserted by us. If the board have any questions, we'll bring this type of article forward.
No, sir.
Okay, next.
Okay? It's the only one I have. I guess I'm gonna have to take yours, 'cause I only have one in my packet. You can imagine that. Okay. The next one I have, draft article tinker. I love that. One tinker we have.
That's just a copy and paste. Ignore that, ignore that, and then go down to the
Wow.
paragraph.
See if the town will amend Article 5, rescind the authorized to borrow funds.
That's one.
Okay, that's Peter, I think, did that one, right, Peter?
What about it? It's mine.
See if the
I don't know what
town
he's doing
will
over
vote
there.
to amend the
Trying to get
Wareham
organized?
Wetlands bylaw. Okay, so you did the wetlands bylaw one,
Right,
right, which is right here.
yep.
So you can
Swiss
read that
Beach.
one, you can handle that one.
Yeah, that's why I said, they're either you or me.
Okay, you do that one.
Okay. Which one do you want me to start with?
Either one, whichever one you want to start with.
Okay, first one, Swiss Beach, and the draft language so far would be to see if the town will vote to rededicate for beach and recreational use in perpetuity the real property located off of Swiss Beach Road and Wankenco Ave in Wareham, Mass., shown as lots B1, B2, B3, as shown on the Town of Wareham Assessor's Plat B 50B, and as on file in the Assessor's Office, or take any other action relative thereto. This is something that's been on my mind and a lot of people's mind for a long time. We had the Swiss Beach Improvement Association come in and discuss the possibility of a conservation restriction with them as a co-holder, along with the Conservation Commission. While I appreciate the work that they put into that to come up with that proposal, on the one hand, they tell us that there's likely to be a 10 taxpayer suit if we don't do something. On the other hand, I can assure you there'll be a 10 taxpayer suit if we were to follow through on that. The best way to hit this ball down the middle is simply to go to town meeting, take it out of the, quote, general municipal purposes, unquote, under which the property was originally taken by the Board of Selectmen in 2003, and rededicate it for beach and recreational use in perpetuity. That knocks out any possibility of buildings going on there, which, as we explained to the gentleman the other week, that's not going to happen anyway. It's in a velocity zone. Even what was permitted originally that was part of the lawsuit would not be allowed to be permitted today. You can't build anything there anyway. At best, you could put a hot dog stand on the beach and then wheel it off at the end of the summer. That's the most you could ever do out there. No, I don't think you can put anything up by way of permanent structures. But This takes care of that problem. It takes what's been a controversial issue for over a decade in this town, solves it, reassures the people in the neighborhood that nothing's going to go in there. It reassures the taxpayers who ponied up close to $2 million to acquire this property that it is controlled by the town of Wareham and nobody and nothing but the town of Wareham. And so I'd like to see the board support this if possible.
Any questions from the board? None heard? At this point, everybody is in favor of moving forward on this one? Yes, sir. Okay. Go ahead, next one, please.
Okay, the next one. Patrick and I talked a little bit about this. It's probably going to wind up being a placeholder as opposed to this exact language. The purpose here is to sort of reallocate priorities for our sewering. Right now, we're operating under Article 5 of the April 23rd, 2007 special town meeting that authorized the sewers to go into Parkwood and Tempest Knob, Oakdale, Cremisa, I believe some other areas as well. And what happened, that authorization was split into 3 separate projects, phases, if you will. We refer to them as Contract 1, Contract 2, Contract 3. But they were all part of the same authorization by town meeting. That article authorized the expense of up to $20 million to accomplish the sewering. I don't know, and that is accomplished by borrowing, by the way. I believe the borrowing is done every time there's a project. It's not that we went out and borrowed $20 million and then, said, okay, let's go do these things. In fact, things might have been a lot better if we'd done it that way. But nonetheless, what we have out there remaining are just 2 areas. It's Agawam Beach area off of Great Neck Road, and there's also the Mayflower Ridge area. There aren't a ton of houses in these areas. Chairman Slavin and the sewer director have been up to DEP. They've spoken with them about what would be the best priority areas for any new sewering going forward, and these 2 areas were really not very high on their list. So to me, it doesn't make sense to go forward with these areas that are going to be extremely expensive for the residents. We've heard estimates of between $30,000 and $35,000 per betterment. As somebody who just got socked with a $15,000 betterment, I can tell you that wasn't much fun. 35 is going to put people out of their houses. And when you combine that with the fact that DEP is basically telling us you want to look at other areas we think that are more important, I think it's time that we take some action to rescind what we have left under that. Now, we have to do it in a way that doesn't mean we completely rewrite or redo a brand-new comprehensive wastewater management plan, because then we've got to get into hiring a gazillion consultants, or at least a consultant that's going to cost us a gazillion, and redo the whole plan, which I don't know if we want to get into that. So
We're going to amend, we're going to ask you next week, we're going to be mending the plan. We're not going to change, we're not going to go back to square one, because that's too costly. So all we're going to do is amend the plan, and that was actually DEP's suggestion, is to amend the plan. So you'll hear some of that for next week.
yeah, well, in the meantime, I guess what I would ask is that the board support at least a placeholder, because we want to be careful with the language, not to be forced into doing, $250,000 worth of studies. If we want to do it the most clever way possible. I'll just leave it at that. And I don't know that I've done that with what you have before you. So before I go blow $250,000 of your money, let's do it right and put a placeholder in, so we meet our own self-imposed deadline of Friday for this stuff.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good.
Everybody in agreement?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just to make sure everybody understands, we're looking at modifying the existing
Comprehensive plan.
comprehensive wastewater management plan. We're not looking at rewriting a whole new plan.
Right.
Right, and as we do that, that provides the justification and the basis for rescinding the authorization that basically would direct the town to go ahead and sewer an area that's no longer a priority in the plan.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Now, the last one. I don't know that we have the minutes available yet from last week's executive session, but since this is becoming a public matter, I think I can talk about it with leave of the chairman.
You're talking about union contracts, or?
No, I'm talking about the wetland bylaw.
Go ahead.
There's a situation, I'm not going to get into where it is exactly, but there's a situation in town where we have a property owner who is looking to build a cart path, if you will, using stone, I believe, to get access to beachfront that they own. In Wareham, we have a wetlands protective bylaw that at section 17 allows certain exceptions to what they call the 30-foot no activity zone, which is right along the shore. Beach access is not one of them. There are various other accesses that are allowed and reasons where they can waive this requirement of no activity in that zone, but beach access isn't. One of the property owners who is seeking to get to the beach by way of the cart path has a son who is disabled, cannot walk the full distance down there, needs assistance to get there. Last week, we received and discussed in our executive session a letter from this applicant's attorney suggesting that the bylaw, as it is presently written, creates a de facto violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act because it bars this young gentleman who is disabled from getting to the beach. And after consultation with counsel, it was suggested that it would be wise to amend the bylaw to read as follows. And what I'm going to do is read what exists there now under this particular exception 3 in section 17. And it is, quote, the Conservation Commission may waive or reduce the no activity zone requirements listed above if, in its judgment, such a reduction is necessary to accommodate a project that will have an overall benefit to the public and or to the environment, parentheses, such as a sewer expansion project or a wildlife enhancement project, close parentheses. The original language ended then. What has been suggested is that additional language as follows be provided, and shall waive or reduce the no activity zone requirements to the extent necessary to provide any reasonable accommodation as required by the Americans with Disabilities Act. Reasonable accommodation is the legal standard the federal government imposes for access for people who are disabled. In this instance, I don't think this is a matter we want to litigate. I don't think it's in the best interest of the town that we litigate it. I think the best thing to do is for a town meeting to amend the bylaw so that it conforms with the Americans with Disabilities Act, reduces our liability exposure, and allows people with disabilities to get to where they want to go. And so this is also a warrant article that I'd like the board to support.
Again, this is a bylaw. This is not a zoning bylaw, which normally would come through the planning board, so it is in the board's purview.
I support it.
Mr.
Me
Tropiano?
too. Yep.
Okay, let's go ahead with that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
both of you, for the work on this.
All right, so that's it. All right, next is any other town business not related, not reasonably anticipated 48 hours prior to the posting of the meeting.
Mr.
Mr.
Titlebaum?
Titlebaum.
Nothing.
Mrs. Whiteside? Mr.
Nope.
Tropiano? I have nothing.
Okay, next, town administrators report, please.
The first item I have is I was handed a letter today from the Director of Inspectional Services. He is resigning his position to take on another opportunity. He will be in service with the town through the end of the month. I appreciate all his efforts and the hard work and the manner he's conducted himself. I know he's taken a lot of strides in that office to I guess, professionalize the office itself. So appreciate his time and effort, and most likely bringing before this board, and we might try and put a placeholder for the fall town meeting, is this gives us an opportunity to potentially reorganize some of the departments as well and act in a more efficient manner. So.
That's always nice.
Okay, that's it.
The second item I have is at the previous week's executive session, the Board of Selectmen voted to ratify the following contracts. The Wareham Clerical Union for fiscal years 14, 15, and 16. The dispatch officers for fiscal years 14, 15, and 16. Steelworkers Unit 7 for fiscal years 14, 15, and 16. And Steelworkers Unit 8 for fiscal years 14, 15, and 16. I appreciate this board taking the action and allowing us to actually have contracts that go into the future. which is a positive step.
Mr. Titlebaum, you have a question to ask?
Well, no, I just want to say something. I in turn would like to thank Mr. Sullivan. You know, we had a prior town administrator who was loath to deal with these things. Since Mr. Sullivan has taken over the job, we've gotten 5 years' worth of contracts with the town employees. Unfortunately, the first couple were in arrears because of the lack of action previously. But it's not the board so much as it is the town administrator taking the time, and it is very time-consuming to negotiate these contracts. You don't just show up in a room and bang them out in 15 minutes. They take days and days and days to get done, and I'm appreciative of the effort that the town administrator has put in. I'm appreciative of the effort that the Labor Council has put in, although he makes money off of it, like we all do. Nonetheless, it's a good accomplishment. Something people need to understand is that having present contracts with your employees is always recommended by the Department of Revenue so that you can budget accordingly. If you are behind in your contracts, you're trying to settle them, if you're in the position of having to write retro checks and do all kinds of crazy things because you don't keep your nose to the grindstone here, it makes it tough for the town administrator to prepare budgets, makes it tough for him to stick to them, it makes it tough for us to monitor them. So this is actually, it's quite an accomplishment. It may not sound like much, but it really is.
I just want to make a quick note that this doesn't take place in a short period of time. This is a lot of back and forth, a lot of negotiations, you know, with the town administrator and our labor council working with the unions, starting off that we were on the wrong side of the tracks because of prior history, having the unions basically looking as if anything at all to give us would be almost never, and actually ending up with the results that we have. And I thank you again for that work.
I'd also like to thank the unions.
Yeah,
They've adopted
absolutely.
very realistic approaches for the most part in dealing with these issues. Obviously, their first priority is their members, but I think that they've been beyond fair with the town as they've negotiated for the most part.
Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, the unions have been excellent. We appreciate all their help. The next item I have is I was able to attend last week's National Night Out. It was an excellent event. I did run away from the dunk tank because I thought I might be nominated at any second. But I know that some of there are just a few people to mention were Officer Carl Baptiste, who put a lot of effort into that, including Lieutenant Walsek. One of the main donors was the Target Corporation. I know there's many others, and I apologize for that. The men and women of the Wareham Police Department, specifically the Honor Guard, looked great. It was really it was impressive to see them marching, and also the men and women of both the Onset Fire Department and Wareham Fire Department. We appreciate all they did. It really was impressive, and I know that I would be in trouble as if I did not mention the EMS department, and it was. They were there for about 5 minutes before they had another call. They were late because they had already had a call, and what they go through is pretty impressive as well. So I appreciate that. The final item I have is we received the if you will, a 70-page document upon the status of the Onset Pier. Long story short, the condition is poor, and there's recommendations of over $3.5 million worth of repairs. So that kiosk money that's been flowing in, it looks to be a little short. So
I'd just like to make a point there that we've discussed this issue going back 5-6 years ago, that when the town got money for doing work in Onset, it also got money for the pier. I believe we got $1 million in that range back then. And in our contract with the state, we are responsible for maintenance and repair going forward. Now, I'm not saying that the state will not give us money going forward to fix the pier again, but they're going to be looking at us to ask, where's this money being put aside for the maintenance and repair? We had budgeted through capital planning when I was on there, somewhere a little bit over $1 million. Unfortunately, it's now 3 times the amount that we actually budgeted for. And you have to understand, this is not just you know, the asphalt on the pier falling in. What this is the pilings all around the pier, the finger piers, the steel structure under the pier is all degraded to the point where it's a serious issue that's going to have to be dealt with, not in the long-term future, but in the near future. So this is going to be an interesting issue for us. Unfortunately, it got worse than what I thought it was going to be from the beginning.
I appreciate Mr. Buckminster and all his work and actually getting that report to us and working with those that put it together. Lastly, it's just something that will really affect next week. I received the notification via the MMA website that the governor had signed the Water Infrastructure Finance Bill, and it's something that will really affect next week, because part of that is under another provision, the state will reimburse the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority for grants and loans it provides to communities to repair or replace aging pipes connected to the MWRA treatment facilities in order to reduce the infiltration and inflow of stormwater into sewer systems, which means I know what Mr. Tropiano's been working hard on. It's a prime candidate for it, so great job.
All set? Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Okay, liaison reports, Mr. Titlebaum.
I briefly liaised, along with a couple of other knuckleheads sitting here, the Community Preservation Committee. They're starting to get their warrant articles prepared. I believe they have a meeting tomorrow night where they're going to finalize some votes here. Among the proposals discussed was $98,000 to fix or repair the floor, and I guess some other work in the old Methodist Meeting House.
Preservation and restoration.
Preservation and restoration. There was some money for Fearing Tavern. I don't recall how much that was. We're still trying to figure out what's going on with the dam to some extent. I think we're going to wind up probably with a placeholder article for that, as we sort out both the ownership issues and also the question of what some potential state aid might be involved with that dam. I don't know if we've gotten an answer back on that yet. And one of the other ones was to pay off the outstanding bond on Tremont Nail. That would save, I think, $70,000 or $80,000. It's a good chunk of money.
It was a little bit over $80,000.
Yeah.
It was
Bryant's Farm as well. Yeah.
Bryant Farm and Tremont Nail.
Yeah. The way these bonds are structured, in the 10th year of a 20-year bond, there is no prepayment penalty. They're not like a mortgage that you sign where there isn't any prepayment penalty. There is a prepayment penalty. But if you get 10 years into it, the bonding company, just like on a mortgage, the interest tends to be front-loaded on the bond. That's where they make their money. So they're happy enough if you get to the 10th year and pay it off. So that's kind of what it is. And we're in our 10-year window here, and it would behoove the town, I think, to go ahead and do this. And that's all I have.
I think they also have a project with the Wareham Housing Authority they're working on.
Yeah.
Mrs.
Yeah,
Whiteside?
we will probably see more after tomorrow night.
Yes. Mrs. Whiteside?
Thanks for being a knucklehead. I was one of them. This is not really a liaison report, but I'm going to make it a liaison report. I want to thank all of the people who've been working on the Wee Wee Attic Playground. The kids from the CCD classes got to a certain point, and it needs grown-ups who can strip a roof and rebuild the roof. And I have commitments from my fellow selectmen, as well as other people, that they will be helping to do that after Labor Day. So don't lose hope over there. That means, not me on a roof.
I can run a bulldozer.
There continues to be a lack of people serving on different committees and commissions. I guess what I will do for next week sewer?
Yes.
Okay, I think I'll just have information for all of us in the packet, if you don't mind, sir, showing where the shortages are, because we've talked about combining boards and commissions before, and
We're still running into the same problem.
Yeah.
I believe the office has actually updated everything with all the new appointments, so we should have a more accurate list now.
Right.
Also up on the town website, they're supposed to have been repaired as well.
And that brings me to the next thing that I'd like to talk about. You mentioned it earlier, you wanted volunteers to, adopt a part of the road or something like that. The town of Wellesley and other towns have on their website a volunteer thingy, where it says, you'd like to volunteer for, I don't know what, a what?
Portal.
A portal, thank you very much, okay. And I suggest that we have one. Stop. I think that it is important, there are a lot of people who will step up and pick up trash or, do whatever they can for the community. And I would also suggest that not only do we ask for volunteers for, adopt a highway or whatever you want to call it, but that we also link with some of our charitable organizations here in the town, so that, for instance, if the Committee on the Homeless is looking for information, that people can see what kind of opportunities are available in Wareham, that they can in fact volunteer their time and their energies to. You don't need to be anything other than willing to help out, and I think that's the meaning of the word community. So I would like to suggest, Mr. Sullivan, that maybe I could give you an idea of what it looks like on Wellesley, but I think that it would be a good thing to do. And I would ask all of the people who run charitable organizations here in the town to, be able to sign up on it.
I think you provided that to us a little while ago under I think it said Wellesley Initiatives.
Yes, it is the town of Wellesley.
I thought I made that. Mr. Tropiano, sorry.
Okay, well, you guys will be getting all my stuff next week, so there's really not much to say about it. It's sort of, we have a meeting once a month, so you kind of get it all in that synopsis, and you already have an inkling of what we talked about anyway. As far as the volunteer thing, I think that's a great idea, and if the finances keep going the way, we can have a volunteer for the town administrator and a volunteer for the accounting department and a volunteer for all the departments.
How about a volunteer designee?
Yeah.
A volunteer designee.
Those are always involuntary.
Okay, go
I'll
ahead.
be quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. This was not we had a lot of other things going on the last week and a half. I did work at the Heinz Field on Saturday for the Cape Verdean Festival, helping out the Cape Verdean Association, parking cars at the field, collecting money. It was interesting that probably a third, at least, of the people pulling into the lot were actually pulling in and paying to go to the beach rather than to go to the Cape Verdean Festival. I had more than a few people ask me, what's the Cape Verdean Festival? What are they doing? So they were coming into town to go to the beach, and they had no issue paying $10 to go park. And I'd say over half of those people were physically able enough, they didn't even consider taking the bus that was offered, they walked. So this idea, again, of, using Heinz Field I think, again, has real possibilities. And it also shows that with the GATRA service that we had there, it made the event flow a lot better for the Cape Verdean Festival. And they made a loop, actually, which came right around, and people got off to go to the beach. People went up to the hill and back, and ran real smooth all day long. And I believe we parked probably, when I was there, 2/3 plus of the lot was full, and I believe they maxed the lot out. And downtown Onset was completely full. That's one of the reasons why people were coming. So the event was very successful, and I hope the Cape Verdean Association generated enough money so they can basically have funding for their scholarship programs. They did a lot of volunteers and a lot of hard work. On another vein, the planning board met yesterday. Two pieces came up. One piece is a gas station convenience store that wants to open up right across the street from the existing one on the Cranberry Highway with a mobile, and is just before 195, et cetera. That piece of property they want to drive through. They'll be looking actually for the ZBA in order to give the permits because it requires special permit variances, but they did make a presentation there on that particular site. Also, Bay Point came before the planning board as well. On this particular issue here, there was what they call a preliminary plan they showed before, and there's a few issues, so I don't think it's going to be a little more involved than what everybody thought it was. There's an issue basically on a few years back, we changed the zoning on the actual district, which is called the Conference Recreational. And when we did that, we allowed for multi-use with the restriction only that you couldn't have big box stores in there. What did come out of it is that we never changed, of course, the actual area that that particular district was located in. And there was a little area that was missed on there, which was brought out in public yesterday, that along Onset Ave, that particular district actually starts 150 feet in from Onset Ave, of the street itself. And the project that we were shown earlier this year shows the housing as it comes down and goes around that loop and then goes along Onset Ave would be an issue for them. So they're probably going to be coming back to the planning board and probably to us maybe showing the plan changing because of that. So I just want to give everybody a heads up on that. And that's all I have for today.
Okay, we have one set of minutes to approve. I move that we approve the minutes of April the 15th, 2014 with one change. There was a spelling mistake, as pointed out by my colleague.
Second.
That Shangri-La actually is an I and not an A, so.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
And there's no bills and documents.
400.
Adjournment.
Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mr. Tattelbaum. All those in favor? I'm going to say goodnight, Wareham, in honor of, not in honor, but in memory of a comedian that we just recently lost.